town.
It, Welcome to Derry, arrives as a prequel to the 2017 and 2019 It films, promising a slow historical peeling back of the town that's home to Pennywise the Clown. Set in 1962, the first season leans into the social anxieties of the era as a new family discovers disappearances and old wounds. Creators Andy and Barbara Muschietti, with Jason Fuchs, return to expand the cinematic mythology, and Bill Skarsgård is confirmed to be coming back as Pennywise, alongside new leads including Taylour Paige, Jovan, Adepo, and Chris Chalk. The series is scheduled to premiere on HBO Max in October 2025. The trailers are teasing more darkness and depth in the small town of Derry. That's why today we're bringing you 10 things we can expect from It, Welcome to Derry. Before we get into this list, we do have a very brief request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. It's a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Release date and streaming details. HBO has fixed a firm premiere date for the series on October 26, 2025, and announced the show will be available on both HBO and Max. The first season is reported to consist of 9 episodes, and the service has indicated that the rest of the season will roll out on a weekly schedule after the premiere instead of releasing all at once. That timing places the launch in the heart of the spooky autumn TV calendar, which the platform is leaning into, with promotional activity expected to ramp up across social channels and fan events in the weeks leading up to Halloween. Expect the marketing push to include more trailers, cast panels, and branded experiences at conventions that target horror fans and mainstream viewers alike. Streaming windows will follow the usual HBO model, where episodes are available on demand the moment they air, which means linear viewers and stream subscribers will have near simultaneous access. For anyone planning to watch from outside the US, check your local Max or HBO listings, as availability and platform names can vary by territory. Setting and time period. Season 1 begins in 1962 and uses that moment in American history as more than just a backdrop. The series draws on the small-town tragedies and historical vignettes found in Stephen King's source material to frame Pennywise's cycles of violence as something that feeds on collective fear across the decades. Creators have signaled an intent to interrogate the era's specific tensions, including racial violence, community complicity, and the uneasy national mood shaped by Cold War paranoia. One early storyline that's been flagged in press coverage involves the burning of a black nightclub known as the Black Spot and how that atrocity ripples through the town. This plotline anchors the season's exploration of race and power. Visually and tonally, the show appears poised to lean into period detail, utilizing costumes, news footage-style inserts, and location design to make Derry's 1962 feel lived in and politically charged rather than merely nostalgic. Main cast and returning faces. The casting strategy appears calculated to strike a balance between showmanship and heart, bringing back the actor who embodied the terrifying clown from the films while surrounding that presence with a mix of seasoned performers and newer leads suggests the producers want scenes that both shock and linger emotionally. Reports show the returning performer also has a producing credit, which points to creative continuity between the movies and the series. Veteran actors in supporting parts are likely to add weight to quieter, community-centered scenes, while newer leads will carry the family drama that anchors the plot. Press coverage and early trailers emphasize intimate moments of loss and grief framed against escalating dread, which hints that much of the series will trade on character arcs as much as scares. Expect performances to lean into the slow burn of televised storytelling, where the same scenes can be revisited and deepened across multiple episodes. That format gives actors room to evolve and makes the town itself feel populated by people whose secrets feed the horror on screen. Origins and lore expansion. Early reporting connects the show to the brief historical interludes that appear in Stephen King's original book, suggesting that the writers aim to expand the town's past into full episodes rather than merely providing background color. Expect mythology to be teased out slowly across episodes, with each dark event treated as a piece of a larger puzzle. Interviews with the creative team suggest a deliberate approach to the chronology and architecture of fear, which should make the series feel like a map of how trauma accumulates in a place over generations. On a practical level, the show appears set to utilize production design, archival style inserts, and recurring visual motifs to transform fragments from the novel into concrete, eerie set pieces. Those choices promise deeper world building, where previously offhand references become full scenes that reveal how the town's history and community failings contribute to the central evil's persistence. Pennywise's role and return. On screen, the entity serves less like a single villain and more like an invasive temperature drop creeps into people's lives long before a visible confrontation. The series format gives the makers room to make that slow incursion unsettling rather than explicit by preferring suggestion over spectacle. Expect sequences that trade on distorted memory, half-remembered childhood games, and night terrors that blur waking life with dream logic. Filmmaking tools such as tight framing, off-screen sound design, and abrupt cuts can make ordinary places feel unsafe, so the audience senses a threat even when no monster appears. Television also lets a single image or whispered line reverberate across episodes until it accumulates meaning and dread. When the creature chooses to reveal itself, the payoff can be both cathartic and disturbing as it follows a long period of mounting unease. The creative team's teasers have leaned into a slow burn approach, suggesting that the show will treat the horror as atmospheric and psychological as much as physical. Social and racial themes. Portraying racial tensions responsibly means showing the systems that allow cruelty to persist, rather than only staging isolated acts of hate on camera that can look like attention paid to who runs the town, whose stories get printed in the local paper, and which neighborhoods are policed or ignored. Storytelling that centers Black perspectives can render those institutional details vivid and human while avoiding the trap of using suffering as a mere backdrop for scares. Filmmakers can also use visual shorthand to convey injustice without exploitation, for example, by lingering on the quiet aftermath of an attack or by following a small ritual that reveals how a community keeps trauma alive. Soundtrack choices and pacing matter here too, because they control how long the audience is forced to sit with discomfort. Based on early reporting on the show, the creators are choosing to weave human cruelty and supernatural menace together so that one amplifies the other rather than standing apart. That approach can make the horror feel like a comment on reality while still functioning within the language of generic television. Tone, horror, and visuals. The show's look and feel leans into a patient dread that lets small moments grow teeth. Trailers already set the mood by lingering on ordinary objects that read as threats when framed just so. Expect close, claustrophobic shots that turn domestic rooms into hiding places and long, silent takes that let ambient sound do the heavy lifting. Practical effects and careful set dressing will lend a lived-in quality to the period production design, so the uncanny feels rooted in place. Costume and hair choices will subtly index social status and mood, while fog, empty streets, and off-camera noises will make the space itself seem untrustworthy. Editing choices that favor silence before sudden disruption will stretch each scare into an echo that lingers across scenes. Cinematography will likely play with depth and negative space, allowing figures to appear and vanish at the edge of the frame. In short, this is a series that aims for a sustained atmosphere over constant jump scares and for psychological unease rather than simple spectacle. Episode count and structure / season plan. The first season is reported to consist of 9 episodes, and the release plan follows a weekly cadence, allowing each installment to breathe and build anticipation between broadcasts. That rhythm supports storytelling that can treat single incidents as chapter-sized reveals, while also allowing recurring images and lines to accrue meaning. Early coverage and creator comments suggest that the writers are expanding short historical passages from the source material into full sequences, which indicates that episodes may concentrate on distinct dark events in the town's past and then show how those events echo into later chapters. A non-linear approach is being discussed in press interviews as a way to assemble a larger mosaic of the community's wounds rather than telling a single straightforward story. Structuring the season this way allows for tonal variety, ranging from quiet domestic drama to set-piece horror, while maintaining a through line that ties individual episodes into a cumulative portrait of a place under pressure. Showrunners, directors, and creative team. Think of the creative leadership as a bridge between big screen spectacle and small screen patience. The production is backed by established studios and several high-profile executive producers, which gives the series both deep industry muscle and a chance to assemble top-tier craft departments. A veteran film composer has been hired to build a sonic identity that links this show to previous adaptations, while also carving its own musical language for television. The production credits list experienced producers with a track record of adapting genre material for a wider audience, which increases the likelihood that the show will strike a balance between franchise expectations and television rhythms. Behind the scenes, the series has attracted seasoned television editors and a roster of cinematographers who specialize in textured period photography. This choice emphasizes atmosphere and visual storytelling. Those technical choices matter because television allows motifs and themes to recur across episodes, and a consistent creative crew can make those echoes feel deliberate rather than accidental. Overall, the roster suggests that makers are trying to preserve the cinematic DNA of earlier films while expanding the toolbox to exploit what long-form storytelling can do for mood, character, and lore. Audience expectations and risks. Viewers will bring high hopes for emotional depth and fresh revelations about the town rather than a repeat of familiar jump scares. That appetite creates pressure to deliver storytelling that feels both faithful to the source material and meaningfully new. One clear risk is tone management, because what works as a jolting moment in a film can feel thin or repetitive when stretched over many hours. Another risk is the handling of historically rooted violence and racism, which must be portrayed with care so the series doesn't exploit trauma for spectacle. Critics will watch how character agency is balanced with horror set pieces and whether the series gives voice to perspectives that the original texts only hint at. There is also a commercial risk, as comparisons to the previous films are inevitable and social media reactions can amplify both praise and backlash overnight. If the show leans into thoughtful world building and treats sensitive threads with nuance, it can satisfy both fans and newcomers. However, missteps in pacing or representation could quickly dominate the conversation around its release. Marvelous verdict! Welcome to Derry promises a chilling prequel that broadens the franchise mythos while centering the town's human wounds. HBO Max presents the series as an excavation of Derry's past. The story follows the Hanlon family and neighbors who face entrenched racism and historical violence that will feed the supernatural menace. Bill Skarsgård returns as Pennywise and appears to operate more as a creeping influence rather than a constant antagonist. Set in 1962 with a 9-episode weekly rollout, the show can layer dread and context, but strong pacing will be essential to keep world building from stalling the scares and momentum. That's all we got for you this time, but if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.